is a ghost?
At 7 years old, David Lowery had shot his first ever film, a poltergeist-inspired, sibling-starring ghost story. 30 years later, he makes another ghost story, only one with a much longer runtime and a much heavier emotional weight. But both films approach the same pop culture phenomenon known all too well, the bedsheet-covered phantom associated with the reputation of the lazy trick-or-treater. But in his latter work, David Lowery makes something that we don't know well at all, because a simple summary of the 2017 film is lacking at best. You really don't know what you're getting into. Call it a fly-on-the-wall perspective of the lonesome and isolated afterlife of the living. Revisiting the white sheet motif at a much different stage in his life, Lowery invokes a deeper look at existentialism and our own fears about death and sentimentality. A ghost story is a frightening one, just not in the way you'd think.
It is a very personal story in that it is based largely on a fight I had with my wife about moving.
To land more gigs in Hollywood, David and his wife Augustine were presented with the opportunity to move west and leave their beloved home in Dallas, Texas, something David was not prepared to do. This sparked a heated fight between him and his wife, which Lowery later built a 30-page script around. This, joined with the reappearing vision of a sheeted ghost, became the foundation of what was a 3-month shoot in the summer of 2016, kept private from studio executives by Lowery's cast and crew. In this secrecy, A Ghost Story had what it needed to achieve full creative liberty, without the pressure of worrying whether this film would sink or swim. And with that complete and conscious freedom, this is why and how A Ghost Story sticks out before the story of a ghost even picks up. Notice on any screen, black bars push in on a 1:33:1 aspect ratio, an idea Lowery wanted to utilize for some time, and no better to make that creative choice than in a story about feeling trapped in a box. Its curved vignette edges resemble a proscenium. The audience feels like they are looking at a dusty photo album, or an ancient videotape, inviting nostalgia to the table before even the camera work has time to shine. Director of photography Andrew Jost Palermo worked with Panavision Superspeed and Ultraspeed lenses, opening up to a stop of 1 during shooting. This was a choice to let in as much light as possible, taking advantage of the abundant close-ups and embracing the softer, blurry lines you get when shooting with low aperture. All this to make a more ethereal, hazier world in the perspective of a foggy and astray, unremembered spirit. Not only is this accounted for in the shooting lens, but in the frame rate. During his time directing Pete's Dragon, Lowery had gotten the tip to film parts of the dragon in 33 frames per second, distancing itself from the rest of the ensemble, painting a weighted and dragging subject onto a fantastical canvas. Because it's not slow enough to feel like slow motion, but it makes the moment slightly heightened. It makes things slightly distended, and you feel everything a little more profoundly. In Lowery's directing world, slow equals real, the longest scenes lasting up to 4 minutes and 24 seconds. That's 7% of the movie, an idea which was consistent through the shooting of the film, but also present since its inception. Lowery had made the decision to include super long shots when writing his script. According to the crew, the screenplay would read things like, "The camera holds for an impossibly long time," driving home inspiration from specific Asian New Wave film, most notably Thai director Apichatpong Weerasethakul, taking inspiration from long winding shots that are slow but deliberate, seen especially in his film Uncle Boonmi, Who Can Recall His Past Lives. And while these initial decisions are ones made aesthetically, they aid the narrative in ways seen only post-viewing. In A Ghost Story, our spirit is jumping throughout time, clipping through present, future, past, and then back to present again. Lowery correctly compares it to a rock in a stream. It's like the rock has water rushing around it, and sometimes the water in that stream freezes and doesn't move, or other times it rushes very, very quickly, and yet the rock stays still. When that bridge between semblance and story links in ways that aren't meticulously thought out, but in ways that just happen, it invites the audience to participate, to sit with the film, and notice a bigger picture and create a truly collaborative experience. A Ghost Story shines where its director shines, and finding a creative voice was something David Lowery found in the world of post. In the cutting room, Lowery edits with no music whatsoever. Composer Daniel Hart didn't begin writing the score until the film had completely wrapped. Lowery isn't sleeping on the score, but he's using it as a last and final wild card, pushing the film as far as it can go without an audio crutch, bringing it that much further once he puts it in, so that Hart's score isn't fixing anything, it's only complementing. Because it's easy to hide behind your score. It's easy to let the score do the heavy lifting for you. And I always try, in my editing process to get the movie working on its own terms before we add the music. Sometime prior, longtime collaborator Daniel Hart had written a song with his band Dark Rooms. It had resonated with David so much that Hart ended up writing the score surrounding the song, mainly following a method of plugging the song into a sound program called Pulse Stretch, where he would pull out the slowed instrumentation and use that for the remaining score.
And I took the separate elements of the song, like the strings or the guitar, the synths, or my own vocals, and I ran them through Pulse Stretch to make these long soundscapes out of the different elements of the song.
A ghost story is slowing things down in every aspect of its existence, connecting to its themes of sentimentality. We drag our feet, constantly look back, chained down by our metaphysical past. In Palermo's snug cinematography and Hart's celestial soundtrack, we are nostalgic while also wanting to let go of that sentimentality, much like how Lowery had to let go of his old home in Dallas. Realizing the materialistic perspective of our memories doesn't have much hold on our future, and once we let go, we're better off. Sending a love letter of your life out to an unexpected audience can be daunting. It's normal to get cold feet. But I think David Lowery runs head-on with his heart held high, never holding back and assuming his film wouldn't be everything he wanted it to be. And to do this, it meant holding out and finding that gem in post-production, having faith in all parts of the film and letting it all fall into place. Cut after cut after cut after. Also, thank you to my two patrons, __ and Seth Walker. And a quick side note before I go, I just wanted to say that I am uploading these videos to Patreon significantly earlier than when I post them on here. Please support and follow my Patreon page. The link is down below. Thank you.